Oh my gosh, you guys, it is so early. Um, yeah, I'm usually here and up this early. However, like not like full face and awake and functioning early. But I've got to get this stuff done. So give me a minute to set up. Okay. I just dyed my hair and man, does it make me look really pale. And I swear I'm not this pale. I have my writing sweater on this morning because I'm just like, I've got to get some some work done. And it's cold, even though it's summertime. I don't even know what's going on. Let's see. Trying to open my outline. Okay, there we go. Okay, so today we're going to do some writing sprints, and today is the first day of Camp Nanowrimo. I can't believe it. Last night I saw people like they were doing like a midnight launch where they stayed up and they wrote their first words at midnight. I am not a night owl by any like I don't know how to do that at all. So I did not stay up. I was like in bed by like 8:30 doing some last minute work and then I passed out around 9. So I didn't make it to 12 o'clock to watch some of these people. And I think I'm going to take some time throughout the day to watch them because it seemed like it was a lot of fun and I was enjoying what they were getting ready to do. But I just cannot stay up late. Your girl can't do that. Happy first day of camp. Hi. Yes. What are you guys working on this morning? Are you doing productivity sprints or are you working on NaNoWriMo? I am working on a YA. It's a murder mystery. I'm very excited about it. I even did a whole video talking about how I outline in Scrivener, and you can find that on my channel. And I just kind of show you the different ways that you can outline and move things around. I think it's so much fun. And I spend way too much time messing around with things that I actually, then adding. So it's kind of rough. First day of camp. I can't even believe we're already here. And I was trying to think about like actual camp. I've never been to actual camp. I always wanted to go to fat camp. I thought, man, it would be so amazing to go to fat camp and like come back thin. But I never, went to camp or got thin. But yeah, I imagine like the first day you get there, you get to pick your cabin and you make friends. But then I also like imagine that other half of camp where it's like you have the Jason Voorhees situation where, the camp counselors are too busy playing with each other than the children. And maybe that's a situation. I don't know. Have any of you guys ever been to actual camp? I did do some like what I call camp counseling when we used to have rec. It was like summer rec. Kids would come and we'd hang out with them all day long until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But it wasn't like an overnight like rec thing. So they went home at the end of the day, which was really nice. But I had a lot of fun with kids. I don't know. There was a lot of, my niece goes to like Boys and Girls Club now, and she does like a lot of putty stuff now. Every time she comes home from there, there's like a different kind of putty that she's made or some kind of like galaxy glitter nonsense that she gets all over the house. And I'm like, good Lord, Jade, could you please stop? Hello, good morning. I'm starting a new project, fantasy murder mystery. Yes, murder mystery. I'm all about that. Like when I was young, I read a lot of mystery. One of the first like real big thick books I ever read was Stephen King's Cujo. And that's because, I don't know, I think murder mystery, it's like a fast pace. And so it keeps my attention. And I was a very lazy reader. I'm still kind of like a lazy reader. But I've trained myself to go ahead and read. Obviously, when you go to college, you have to figure it out or fail. Yeah, but as a kid, I had to read a lot of mysteries because it kept my attention, or else I'd get bored and not do anything. Stephanie, I went out school for, oh, okay. So what was that experience like being a camp counselor? I think I would have loved to have been a camp counselor. I would have just loved it. But the outdoors do not love me. I'm from Colorado, and so everyone always just like assumes that because you're from Colorado, you're like an outdoorsy person. I am so not. I was born in the wrong state. I'm not an outdoorsy anything. I'm allergic to like everything. And the sun and I are not friends. I happen to be native Spanish and black. I did not get that color tone. I definitely took the Spaniard side. So I burn. I burn like a ginger in the summer sun. Like everything summer. I'm even a summer baby, and I don't know, it doesn't really suit me. I couldn't tell you about that, but we should get started with some early morning sprints. Let me know down below what you want to go with. Usually I start with about 15 seems like I start to find my groove. So it's not long enough. Oh, good morning. I'm working on a childhood memoir. I grew up in Queens, New York. That's kind of cool. My boyfriend's from Brooklyn, if that's what we're talking about. So I think that's great. So one time I attempted to write a little bit of memoir, and that's because in college I took a creative nonfiction class. And before that, I was like dead set against writing anything about my life. But what I did was I made a timeline because I am a planner person, and that's what really helped me. And I sat down and I wrote down Head Start. And I wrote down anything I could remember. There's a few memories I have of Head Start. And then I wrote things about kindergarten, first grade. Like I tried to remember teachers, best friends, all of these fun stories of like my first whatever when I was young, first best friend, first kiss, all of that stuff. And I kind of did it through school because I feel like school's such a big part of your life when you're a kid. That's what I remembered the most. So yeah, that's how I kind of started off trying to figure out some essays to write about life. And I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. And it was fun because I had to sit down and think about things and ask my mother stuff. And we had completely different stories for everything. That's true also of like modern days. Like my mother and I could be in the same room. I know exactly what happened. And she will come out with a story that's like completely different. You know what I mean? Those people that go fishing and the fish is like this big and then by the end it's like this big. That is my mother. So she wasn't much help when it came to having her as a reference to help me remember all of the stuff that happened. But, you know. Okay, so I'm sorry. So I have my screen split. So it's so small. So I look like I'm a crazy person who's like all in your faces because I have to get up close to read these. It was super fun. Another camp counselor and I were in the cabin that had all the special needs kids. All of that is so sweet. Kids with Down syndrome just like hold your whole heart, right? They're just the sweetest kids and they're just so fun to be around. And I don't know. It's just like they make you feel kind of a little bit bad about anything stupid you ever thought. Like I'm always talking about, oh, my weight, my weight, my weight. And then you just look at them and you're like, you're amazing. I love you. I need to get a life. So that is so cool. Yep. And I'm writing about the librarian at my school today. Oh, about the library. Okay. I was making sure you didn't say at the librarian. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. So I also have stories about my librarians because I, being a chubby kid, spent a lot of time in the library at high school and now. Like I'm always at the library. So I'm like really good friends with the director of our library in our town because I join a lot of groups and help participate in a lot of ways. So that's pretty funny. I do have a couple of stories actually about libraries. Libraries for me is like my church. That's where I go to heal and to like also, I guess, study. You know, most people study the Bible. I study like other people's books. That's, you know, what I do as a writer. So I find that all interesting and great. So yeah, you're gonna have to let us know more about that. So it's let me see. You said you're writing memoir, and this one happens to be about librarian at my school today. Very cool. Okay, so let's get started with a 20-minute sprint. If you see me go off camera and you see my little avatar, that just means that maybe I had to stand up for a minute or had to go grab something because I always forget something. I put everything ahead of time off to the side here the night before, but I always forget one thing. Okay, so let's get started with a 20-minute sprint. Share my screen here. All right. Okay, and good luck. Okay, so time is up. How did everyone do? If you're just joining us, welcome. We are currently working on Camp NaNoWriMo. Today is the first day. If you don't know what Camp NaNoWriMo is, it is a challenge, kind of like a push-up challenge where you set your goal. My goal is 25,000 words, and I have broken that down. And I know that I have to write 5,000 words every single week in order to reach that goal. And it's like a total of 807 words every single day, or 1,667 words every day for 3 days. Because I'm trying to write only for 3 days because I have other things, man. I got to clean. I got to do other stuff. So I can't possibly write every day. And so if you're like a parent or you're someone who works and you're wondering how people do these challenges, we work around them. And it certainly can work for you as long as you know what your goal is and how to break it down. So there have been a lot of comments. Let's see if there's anything I need to answer. Okay. Oh, hello. Hi. So my channel is all about my life, which is, everything. So I started off as a planner channel, and I have a lot of reviews on different kinds of planners, different planning techniques. And then I'm also a writer, so I started to incorporate more writing. And good morning. So I have a lot of how-to kind of videos, also using different writing tools like Google Docs, Google Keeps, things like that, Scrivener. Good morning. Sorry, no worries. You're here and I love it. I hit the snooze button a bunch. Let me tell you what. So we are going to be doing writing sprints every Friday at this time. Today, I decided to do a sporadic pop-up sprint because it's the first day of Camp Nano and I wanted to start it off right. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of people from the West Coast. So what time is it there? It's an hour earlier. So it's like six-ish over there. Nice. I wonder if you guys are writing before you go to work or you're just early risers. Oh, yes. Thank you for helping clear that up while I was, writing away. Oh, Oregon. Okay. So that's cool. I have never made it to the West Coast, even though I'm in Colorado and I'm pretty close. I've never made it there. I want to. And of course, with this whole coronavirus thing, I don't know when I'm going to do that. We've already lost a whole month of my summer vacation. I know summer doesn't start for everyone at the same time with no travel. Not that I'm a super traveler, but I don't know, something about coronavirus that made me want to because I knew I couldn't. Are you also that person? I wish someone would tell me you can't not eat, and then maybe I would prove them that I can. That is great English, by the way. It's early here. Okay, so let me show you. Let's see if I can share my screen so I can show you what I've been doing. Oh, I'm scared to exit out of here. Okay, I think I did that. Okay. What the Scrivener I have looks like. I was really concerned. I have been recently learning about Google Keeps, Google Sheets, Google everything, Google Docs. And I've been writing in Google Docs, and it's so amazing because I really don't care for, I'm a Mac person, and I really don't care for iCloud. And now I'm struggling with the situation that I'm using Scrivener. Please let me know down below what type of process you're using. Are you writing by hand? Are you using Scrivener? What are you using? Are you using Word? So I have an old version on my iMac, which is I have to sit here because the internet is just terrible. So if I get pixelated, just follow the sound of my voice. But it's not updated. So if I put it into my MacBook Air, which is an updated version, it will work. But if I try to do the reverse, it's going to say, hey, you have to pay to update this. And I didn't realize that. So that's stressful. And I also have to use a flash drive. These are all like first world problems, by the way. But I have to use a flash drive and remember to save it. I just got used to Google Docs where you don't have to save. I swear, you should have seen me. I was so embarrassing because I'm just like an old person who doesn't know these new tricks. And I was looking forever the first time. I was like, where is the save button? There isn't one. It just automatically saves through the internet, which is so embarrassing. I shouldn't even repeat it, but that's what happened. And I was just like panicked about not finding a save button. I was already annoyed with when I switched over to Mac and you have to push like, what is it, like option or something like that to find save as. It just has save. I don't know why we're hiding the save buttons. What the hell is that about? Trying to give me a heart attack. Yeah, so I have to go back to my old ways, even though I was getting used to the new ways of saving things, because now I'm scared I'm going to forget to save it and just close it. And that's going to be like the situation. If you're not using Scrivener, I swear it's awesome. And I'm sorry if I'm making it sound like it's the worst thing ever invented. It's not. It's just an adjustment. Okay, so let me share my screen and I can show you the mock-up I made. And I do have a video on my channel for this because I wanted to show you guys how I outline in Scrivener. Okay, are you gonna let me share my screen or what? Yes, okay. I hope that that's big enough that y'all can see, because since my screen is split in half, it looks super tiny. But anyway, over here, I am writing a murder mystery. My favorite thing to do is to take my characters. And these are characters, by the way, that I just got out of Canva, so I wouldn't get in trouble for like copywriting or what have you. And you can just kind of like move them around down here at the bottom. You can push the button that allows you to like layer them, sort of, or the button that straightens them out like this. So I have them all, and you can see that I have a victim, I have a husband, I have a suspect, we have a witness, cops, and then this is my main character. Now this is a mock-up, so it's not really actually their names or what's happening in my book, but I kind of show you how you do that. There's colors off to the side here. You can do that by pushing this button and moving them around. So if I moved him down to green, he would turn green. Up here, he's orange. And I have them put by like red being the highest. So that's like my suspect. Orange is like maybe they're a suspect. And then we have yellow, which is like maybe they're not a suspect, but we should question them. And then down here we have the victim, which is on green because obviously she didn't kill herself because she was bludgeoned to death. So, and then of course we have the cops down here on blue because they're the ones investigating. So this is what I spent a lot of time on instead of actually writing. And I enjoy setting up things like this. It's much fun. And a lot of people don't know that this is what you can do. And I mean, maybe that's great. Maybe it's great that you don't know this and you're not wasting your life, you know, but I think it also helps me be a little more hands-on because I'm more of a creative person, and it allows like me to think about things in a fun way. I don't know. It's really helpful to me. You can kind of do the same thing with, you have your Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Put your chapters over here, and I went through this, and you can just rearrange them just like you would if they were regular note cards and just move them around. So a lot of times I come in here, I'll put Act 1, and then I will just start plotting a whole bunch of things in no particular order, and I move them around from like within like this, or I can move this down to Act 2. So I really do love Scrivener. It's just the whole, I really got used to and spoiled using Google Docs, that everything was just like saved. I try to use iCloud and it's just really stupid. It does not work the same. I highly recommend Google Drive. It just makes my life easier. So let me stop sharing that and go back to the comments, see how everyone did. I wrote it down. So I ended up getting 232 words. I was setting up a bunch of stuff and still going over things and writing outside of the manuscript. Another great thing about Scrivener is all of these notes up here and the character sketches, none of that adds to your word count. You can pull it down here into your manuscript if you wanted it to. So I was doing some work off over here, and so that's where some of my word count went. Okay, let me close this. I always get so nervous, and I'm gonna, sorry. If you want to, oh my God, I totally closed you. Okay, we're fine. New comments. Okay, good morning, Rose. Rose is my planner sister. I got about a paragraph. Nice. Revise in book one. Oh, okay. So we're revising. I did that one year and I swear I was going to pull out my hair. It's something about this challenge that, I keep thinking word count, word count. And sometimes when you're revising, you delete a whole paragraph or a whole page or sometimes a whole chapter and you see that negative number and it made me want to throw up. The planner, anal person inside of me, like, man, that sounded horrible. The A-type personality in me is like, go, strive, 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 get all of those words. And so when I was having a negative word count, I was losing my mind. But I love it if it works for you. Okay, completed by, all right, goal is revising, it completes by 7:31. Yes, that's also another thing about Scrivener. If you didn't know, you can set a date for when you want your project done and it'll break it up for you. So if you miss like 4 days of writing, it will recalculate it for you and you don't have to do that math, which is amazing for an English major. I just love that. Google Docs here. Yes. So is it because of the convenience? I really love all of the gizmos that are in Scrivener, but I struggle, y'all, with going back and forth. I hate using a flash drive. I get scared. Once, I lost a flash drive in the library, never got it back. I was more scared about people reading my work when it's not finished than anything else. I'm sure they didn't even care. I'm sure it was somebody, it was like probably a young kid who deleted everything on there and didn't read anything, which is what I hope happened. But I'm like that person that even though I'm very organized, I'm terrible. Like I lose things all of the time, or misplace, I should say. That one was lost. I never found it. I use Scrivener and Word. Okay, so I don't use Word because I have Mac, and so I had to do that struggle when I came over, like, 8 years ago to Macs, trying to figure out pages. And it was so simplistic that it's great, but also I was like, what? It must be more complicated than this, and it's really not. So I've also used both Word and Pages, which is the equivalent for Mac users. I use Google Docs. Yes, I didn't know anything about this because I'm an older person. And when I went to college, it was later in life. And I didn't live on campus. Nobody taught you those things. They expected that you already knew it. So I just, used flash drives and Word. It wasn't April when my niece, who is 10 and was in the 4th grade, she had to be taught at home because of coronavirus, right? And so I had to help her with all her online school stuff. And I was like, that's when I was like, Jade, how do you save this on Google Docs like an old person? It was so embarrassing. I shouldn't say old because there's a lot of savvy old people. It's just non-tech people, I guess. And I am pretty tech savvy, so I learned it pretty quickly. It was just, I was so scared when I couldn't find that save button, y'all. It was horrifying. Okay. I watched your Scrivener video this morning. Oh, what did you think? I didn't realize you could even do, yes, all of this stuff. It's so cool. And I'm sorry if I'm just like giving you all of this information that, it's all useful, but it's also like you're wasting time and you should be writing because you're playing with things. So I'm sorry, Jenna, if I did that. It's an older version, so it may not work, but I think that they might still be in there. The buttons might be in different places, if that makes sense. And if you do, like, you go up to the Scrivener in the left-hand corner, it's left-hand on Mac, and you push the button, you can update it and it will give you a price if that's something that you want to do. I pay for things like a lot, and so I get annoyed because I have it on my iPad and on my phone. I don't know why I thought I was going to write on my phone. That was like a waste of whatever money it was, but I do have it on my phone. And I should have spent it to update this version on the iMac, but eventually I'm probably gonna have to do it because it's probably gonna become a headache. Let me know also what you guys do if you are trying to use Scrivener and you are Google Doc or, Google Drive people, because I was reading this website that said you probably shouldn't use Scrivener in Google Drive because it can corrupt the files. I only read one because I was curious about this. And of course, I'm doing all of this last minute. I should be better prepared. Usually as a planner person, I am. I haven't discovered that aspect of Scrivener. Hi. So Jules, I love Jules. I'm hoping I can collab with Jules. I feel like we just keep missing each other, but I really enjoy her channel. She has, Jules, you should put your information down below. She has a video, excuse me, a live sprint Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I believe Sunday also. I'm so terrible about the times because we're all in different time zones, but totally leave your information because she's great. Love Google everything. Totally. It's so much easier than iCloud. I don't understand. When I went over to Pages and I went over to Numbers, it was so simple. It's like they took all the difficult things that they were trying to do with Microsoft Word and Excel and made it simple. And I don't understand why iCloud is so difficult because it's always updating crap and putting things in the cloud I don't want to be there. And I've tried to manually do it and it's always hounding me for money. You know what I mean? It's like, you're almost out of space. And I'm like, I don't want to pay anymore. I don't know. I think Scrivener suggests you. Oh, okay. So I used to use Dropbox and now because I've let that go, I don't even remember the email I use for that. I'm going to write that down. Thank you for that information. I will try Dropbox again. I have to set up another account. Do you guys also have to do things like that? It's terrible. Okay, there's a lot of comments. I'm trying to get through them so we can get to another sprint. Yes, the syncing issues are ridiculous. I feel like Google, it's just so much simpler. When I try to go from I bought an iMac at first, and I thought that was a great decision because it was more bang for your buck, really. I got more gigs as opposed to what you get for having, a MacBook. So that's what I did. And then after a while, I realized because I do have back issues and other things, I was like, man, I need to be mobile. I need to be able to go to the library because my internet sucks. I need to be able to lay in bed and, research things. So 4 years later, I ended up getting a MacBook. So I have both and they do not, it's just terrible. I don't know. I have the worst struggles. Using Google Docs, plus it's easy to share Yes, that's how I learned because I'm collabing with so many people. I had to learn because they were doing all this stuff and I was like, yeah, I know how to do that. No. I totally get that. I'm tracking it by chapter 25 to revise. So I'm also thinking about maybe using Google Docs to type and then at the end of the day, taking whatever I write and then putting it into Scrivener. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's twice the work, but I feel like that might work for me. I don't know. Nanosite is 25 since, oh my gosh, the Nanosite is the worst since they changed it and you can choose anything but work. Okay, yeah. If you are just joining us and you don't really know much about Nanowrimo and you're just doing productivity sprints, they had a great website. I don't know if it was a couple years ago where you could go by page number. So if you wanted to say, I'm going to write 5 pages a day, you could put that down. You could say, I'm going to handwrite so many pages. They had all of these things. And it's I don't remember being polled about this, but they changed everything. I don't think anyone I know has ever been polled about why they changed it. I don't know, but it's kind of a headache. I'm trying to look at my revision. Okay, stage like Stephen King does. Oh, okay. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to write that down because it sounds interesting. I love Stephen King. Cut 10% each time you make the word choices better. Oh, okay. So I'm trying to look at the growth of the cut. That is a planner thing. You have an organization going on. You're just yes, I have a plan. Here it is. I love that. Till I reach 10 marks. Okay. I've never heard of that. So cool. When I get to the revising stage, I'm totally going to remember that. Yes, automatically saving. I'm telling you. I hope that does not mess me up in Scrivener because you know how in Scrivener you have to go up and close the project and then exit out. If you don't do that, it will tell you the next time you go in there, Scrivener was, improperly closed or shut down. And you're just oh my God, I'm so sorry. And it's yelling at you. I downloaded Scrivener on the free trial now. Yes, so I hope that you enjoy the video. It's on my channel. I think it's helpful. Maybe it's a little bit long, but I wanted to go step by step for people who are like, what button did you click on? Do you ever watch a video and you want to learn things speedy quick? And I do. But then they like skip what button they touched. And I'm like, mine doesn't look like that. So I went a little bit slower. It's under 30 minutes, but you can fast forward to wherever you need to. Enjoy Scrivener. I think you will. It is an awesome tool. It got me writing. Using Dropbox as well. Okay, guys, I'm going to check that out. I promise. Okay. Thanks for the shout out. Yes, we love Jules here. We should collab. Yes, I think that's going to be great. I'm going to have to pick like a Monday or a Wednesday when I'm not doing other stuff with groups because I know that you write on those days and that would work really well. Okay. When I'm working on a scene and I need to be mobile, I copy it to a Google Doc. Yes, I do the same. And that's what I love about Google Docs. It's so cool. And you get like 15 gigs for free. I haven't even reached 1 gig. So I think that's also amazing. I don't remember what the storage is for iCloud. And work on it when I'm home. I copy and paste it back into my Scrivener. So not on at all. Yes, absolutely true. I love Stephen King's nonfiction book on writing. Okay, so Jules, I think we're definitely going to have to read that in my book club because so many people mention that and I've seen it, but I haven't actually read it. So I think I'm going to have to get on that. I'm going to write that down too because I have writer's brain and if I don't write things down, I will forget it. Let's get to another sprint. Do you guys have a time? I think that we can do 25 or 30, maybe a longer sprint this time. Okay. It's my favorite writing. Okay, good to know. That's just going to push me to do it. Love his book too. Okay, cool. All right, let me set this up again. I'm sorry if I lose you. I always get so nervous that I'm going to close the wrong thing. Okay. New window. First day of camp, starting it off right. Okay. I'm having allergies already early this morning, y'all. I'm just like, cannot breathe. Also, there is like a fire happening near my area. I think it's more under control. But the other day I woke up and there was just like this film of smoke outside and I couldn't breathe and I felt terrible and I just hoped everyone got out of it okay. And I think that they did. I don't think they've reported any like deaths or anything. And it was something that was started naturally. It was just like, we've had a lot of lightning storms here. Okay, so let me share my screen. All right. I'm going to do more than 20 minutes, wasn't I? And I just totally forgot about that. No, it won't let me do it big. Technical difficulties. There we go. Yay. Nope. Well, this must be fun watching me do this. So this is why I'm having the struggles with Google and non-Google. Oh my God, did I? I just keep losing you. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. I need someone to come and teach me all of these things. See, Jules, I don't know how helpful I would be to you as a co-host. I mean, I can make people laugh. You would probably run all of this stuff, so that would be fine. Okay, so good luck. Let's get started. Okay. How did everyone do? I think it's really weird that the timer is not beeping. Are you guys hearing a beep? Because I'm not hearing a beep. Interesting. I don't know what that's about. Murphy's Law, whatever can go wrong will. I had to put my hair up because I'm getting to business. And when I'm getting to business, I need to have my hair pulled back. So I ended up with 794 words that time. I had to do a little bit of writing in my notes. Also, I wrote probably, I would say 200 of that. I was rewriting the beginning, right? Because this is the beginning. And I'm trying to get a feel for this town. And I don't know. I was like, maybe I should write it in a different way. I also have notes because if you didn't know, I'm writing a murder mystery. I thought up this idea in 2015. So I ripped out the page where I wrote some notes about just the general idea so I wouldn't forget about it later. And I don't know. I feel like everything that I wrote, I wouldn't write that way anymore. Does that happen to you also? Do you open like really old projects and you're just like, yeah, I wouldn't even word it like that anymore. So I spent some time kind of rewriting. This was kind of like the beginning portion, and I kind of found a voice in how I wanted to write it. But yeah, I think that's kind of interesting how much I've grown as a writer, and it just is, I don't know. It seemed like somebody else wrote that. Does that make sense? Okay, let's see. How did everyone do? Yes, I also technology. And I think the thing was, I decided to share my screen with Scrivener. So I took down the counter, which like it's off to the side right now. And that's what kind of messed me up because I didn't know how to put it back. I was like, gosh, what are you doing, Sylvia? The tree removal crew we hired arrived and it got a lot noisier. Oh, okay. Um, yes, we have to do tree removal here as well. And there's like this old tree that's broken down because of all of the wind that's been happening, but also it was partly rotten. So there's this huge branch and it just like fell over. Luckily, it didn't like, fall on anything. So that's okay. But it's kind of like blocking where the lawnmower goes because I live on 12 acres of land. And I'm like, man, we got to move that thing. So I need to try to convince like my brothers to bring their chainsaw over because it's like huge. And kind of cut it up and move it because I don't know. My boyfriend's busy working all the time, so I got seven. Okay, so we were pretty close. I got 794. You got 739. Nice sprint. But am free writing. Oh, okay. I like to put music on. Oh, okay. See, I cannot write with noise. I don't know what it is. I've tried it. I can do, however, sometimes I'll put on jazz. Like there's a jazz channel that's really nice here on YouTube, and I will put that on as I'm planning. And sometimes when I'm organizing my writing, but for some reason I need like dead silence. I don't know what that's about because when I was in college, I had to write with a lot of people around. Sometimes I would go to school early and I would just sit there and we'd be in a computer lab and all of these young kids were just gabbing and gabbing and gabbing. I was like, shut the hell up. I also, fun fact, used to sit in the back of my car. I'd go to college early, sit in the back seat, and I would type my papers or do whatever I needed to do because I have anxiety disorder and sometimes I can't focus until I'm on the deadline. And that's, it's just the way life is for me. Okay, or select a photo and write a story about it. Oh, okay, so you use prompts. That's awesome. I used to do that again when I was in college. We used to do that in our poetry and short writing classes. Our professor, he was so awesome. He used to bring pictures, these really cool pictures in, and he'd be like, okay, write a story. And then we'd share them. Excuse me. Got 4 pages done. Okay, so are you keeping that, Summer? Where are you keeping that information? Is this for Scrivener? Because again, we all talked about how it's like word count now and you can't upload pages. What is your overall goal? Do you have one? Or are you just like, I got in 4 pages and that's amazing? That's a lot, actually. Okay, Okay. Hello from Germany. Hello. What time is it there? I'm on Mountain Time, so it's 8:30 here. I have learned so much about different time zones doing all of this AuthorTube stuff because I have friends in other time zones all over the world, especially planner people. So that's so awesome. I can only have instrumental playing. Yes, I am totally the same. And you know what I found? This is the struggle I have. If I have some really sad song on that's talking about breakup, it affects my writing. And I start writing about like really sad, love story-ish stuff, right? Same if I'm like writing, like listening to a happy song and I need to be writing something that's very like the book I'm writing right now is about depression as well as murder. So it's very like dark. I don't know. I think it would be too happy, and I'd get in a happy mood and I start writing stuff, it affects me somehow. And so I can't. But awesome if you guys can. Oh, so it's in the afternoon there. That's awesome. Are you also participating in NaNoWriMo? I'm always interested in how that works in other countries. Yeah. And are you having struggles with the website? Is it a little bit different there? I don't know. So let us know down below. Now, currently, I yesterday decided that I was going to write in first person because this is a murder mystery. A lot of times you will find that the majority of books are written in third person. That's what people naturally write in. I'm a first person perspective writer. And so I have written a murder mystery. It was about a group of 5 kids, teens rather. And so I wanted to try that in third person because I wanted there to be like an air of mystery. And I didn't want everyone to know everything about everything because I was like, what if one of these kids or teens has killed someone, and I want to kind of keep that in the background. So I really like murder mysteries that are written in third person, but this one I decided to do in first person because I felt like I was only going to be with one character. And so that, I don't know, I'm scared. I'm having some FOMO, that fear of missing out on writing in third person. I don't know. Do you guys struggle with that? So yesterday I sat down and I wrote part of this story, just a scene, in first person and then in third person to see which felt more natural and which I liked best. And I still decided to go with first person. I don't know if that's the wrong decision. It's not too late to change it, right? I'm hoping I won't have to because that's really gonna suck. But right now that's the struggle for me. Okay, I am revising in Word. So I write down what page I start on so I can see that I'm making progress. Okay, that's great. But for Nano, I'm only tracking per chapter completed. All right. I think that's really great because I'm telling you, when I put a word count down, that's all I hear in my ears, word count, word count. And it kind of distracts me from quality writing sometimes, I think. Sometimes I think I'm just trying to get those words in. So I love it that people are going by, pages and chapter counts. I think that's really smart. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, if I'm being honest. Okay, I participated once, but without the homepage. Sorry. Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. And I wrote 35,000 words in 13 days. That's great. I'm only going for 25,000 for the whole month because I know who I am. It's summertime. I need to work on health a little bit more. This is my first day of keto. And I'm not hungry yet, so that's nice. I'm hoping to do some intermittent fasting, so I'm not going to try to eat anything until noon today. And that's worked really well for me before. It's just getting started that's a little bit rough because all I ever think about is ice cream and cake. I know, it's really terrible. So let me know what perspective are you guys writing from? POV? Is it first person, third person? Do you have a preference? I find that because I do write in different genres, it depends really on the genre. Like I mentioned, murder mystery tend for me to be third person. This one happens not to be, but I think it works best this way. I'm hoping. I've been thinking of writing a book, just didn't know where to start until I found you and other author tubers. Yes. Oh, I love that. Oh yeah. Loving Calm Chaos. That's a great name. Yes, no, I think everyone should write. Everyone should write. It's very therapeutic. It's fun. And if you keep it in your mind that this is just for fun and no one has to read it, there's no pressure. And you just, I mean, I definitely have videos. I was talking about that earlier about how to get started with Scrivener. So if you're new with that, and also I did a video on how to make a calendar in Google Sheets, because that's how I learned is by teaching, right? Just kind of like a tracker for NaNoWriMo. So I know that I have to write 25,000 words because that's my goal. I have to write 5,000 each week. With regular NaNoWriMo, you have to write 1,667 words every single day for a total of 50,000 words at the end. And it's so funny because 1,667 words is exactly what I have to write 3 times a week because I'm being a realist. Yeah, 3 times a week in order to get my 5,000 word count by the end of the week. So I've got it broken down. I think it'll work out. I'm going to be writing on Fridays. So I have early morning sprints on Fridays. And then Sundays, I write with my group. And then Monday is a natural writing day for me. I've done a lot of habit tracking as a planner. And I found that on Mondays, I naturally just sit down and write. So if I write for those 3 days, I can get this 25,000 word goal in. And I know it's not a whole novel, but like I mentioned, this idea I've had since 2015. So even if I get this novel started, I think that's great. And camp is a great time to go ahead and start if you're new to writing because you can set your goal at whatever you wish, which is kind of awesome. There's not as much pressure to write a whole novel. It's a little out of control. All right, so we should do another sprint. Let me know down below how long you want to go for, maybe a little bit longer one, 25 or 30, because this will definitely be our last sprint, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more. Totally. Okay, so I seem to default to first person. Okay, yeah, and it's so funny because a lot of people in my writers group, not my online one, but the one that I used to have at the library before coronavirus, they all agreed that first person was harder to write in. And I thought, that is so weird because the first time I tried to go to third person, it was a little bit of a struggle for me. I adapted, and I think I only had one whole page out of that 50,000 words where I accidentally went back to first person. I thought that was going to happen a lot more often. I was pretty proud of that. And I found that third person was kind of cool. And I also had to play with having 5 main characters, deciding who was going to speak for each chapter. And I kind of just, instead of trying to have them all talk in the same chapter, because I think that is crazy and overwhelming for a writer, but also for a reader, we were reading, what's his name? Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, and he does that. He has a lot of different characters and he has them all talk in the same chapter, and it's a little bit confusing. It's a little jarring at first, and then once you get used to his book and you get a lot of time to get used to it because it's like 600 pages, you start to understand. So I decided, instead of having all of the characters talk in one chapter, I was going to go with one perspective from one character each chapter, and so they kind of just like went in order. Like the next chapter, I just knew was going to be about the next character. And then you learned a little bit about each of those characters as they went through. And I thought that worked out best. Let me know down below if you've ever had to deal with that situation. It was new for me as a writer. I've never done that before. And it was really cool. And as soon as you figure out something that works for you, it's no longer so overwhelming and it doesn't freak you out. Yeah, totally. I personal, and that's what I'm going with. And I think she's really the only one telling the story. So first person didn't seem to work out. The Hunger Games taught me that. Yes, absolutely. First person double POV. Okay. So do you do that by giving the character like one chapter and then the next character gets one? I read a really great book, darn it. I can't remember. When I was like a teenager, it just made me think of that. There's another book that's a YA. It's called Skinny, I think. And it's about 2 sisters, and one of them has an eating disorder. And so we get to see life through that sister in one chapter, and then they switch off POVs. And not POVs, switch off telling the story. And then we get to hear from the sister and how she feels about her sister's disorder and how it's affecting her. And that was a really great way to see two different perspectives, because even though they kind of said the same things in each chapter, you got to see them from different perspectives. And so it was really nice. Okay, so 25. Ooh, lemonade and tea. Yum. No sugar for me. I started keto today. Oh, that's so nice. I love that. Okay, you gave each chapter have their own chapter. Okay. Yes. So like with the murder mystery, we started off with one character, right? And he was introduced to this group. And so we saw everything through his perspective. And we met everyone. And then in the next chapter, I went to another character in the group. And it was still like they were meeting, like say it was like, I don't know, a meeting that happens every Wednesday or something like that. And so the next Wednesday, it was with another character, and you got to see their perspective, and you got to learn a little bit more about each character. And I thought it was more personal that way. It really works for me. I hope it works for my readers when they read it, because I haven't, done any beta reading for that yet. I prefer third person. Okay. Writing in first person just makes me worry that I'm that I've never thought of that, probably because I am one. So you never know what you are, right? That's so funny. I get concerned with third person. I feel like I tell more than show, whereas in first person, it's like, and then you can always do like, whether you do first person or third person, you can always do present tense or past tense. I feel like with first person, I get out of the whole telling all of the time. Whereas in third person, I feel like I'm always just telling a story and I'm not showing anything. And that's what like I get freaked out about third person. Oh, I've never heard of that. Let me write it down. I'll look it up. Blood Blue series. Yes, I have to write everything down because, writer's brain. And I've never heard of Melissa de la Cruz. Okay. Have I? Wait. What else does she write? Maybe I have heard of her. Oh, okay. Yes, I'm always looking for book. Yes. Okay, so it's so funny. I go to my library, right? And I always check out like 7 to 8 books every time I go to the library. And one day I had a new librarian who doesn't know me very well say, wow, you read a lot. And I said, well, no, not really. Because I said, most of the books that I've checked out, I've already read. And she's like, oh. And I had to explain to her, I'm like, I'm a writer. And so sometimes I check out books I've already read because I've written down notes saying, okay, there's a perspective in here or there's a scene in here that I think is really great and you should emulate that. And so I check out that book so that I can look over that chapter or just look out. Like there was this one time I was writing a prologue. And so I checked out a bunch of books that I already had written down and I knew had prologues just so I could compare them. So that's all I read out of all 4 of those books that I checked out, which is do you guys do that also? I don't know. So the librarian was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And she was just like, I felt like I was totally being shamed because she was like looking at my history and she's like, yeah, because it says you've checked out this one book like 8 times. So she probably just thought like I was a slow reader or I just kept on DNFing that one book. But in reality, I was just like, that's how I do my research. I don't know what you guys do. Let me know down below. But that's really funny. I'll have to look at that book. Letters and yes. So like one of the things I don't like about Frankenstein, I know I feel like I'm one of the only people who doesn't love that book, and I love classic books. I don't like the fact that they're written in letters. It was very like, I don't know. I didn't love that book. And I don't think I'd ever give it a second chance because I read it for school, so I had to really, really read it in order to write an essay. I didn't love it, but sometimes letters can work. Like the Vampire Diaries, that whole series is done also partly in diary entries. So it can be nice as well. Oh, okay. Yes, I love alternating the chapters. It works really well because I'm telling you, when I was reading Brandon Sanderson and there was like five characters he kept going back and forth between, I was just like, and that was like my first main high fantasy book. And there's a lot of characters, and I just kept getting lost. And I was like, why are you doing this to me? Um, but I mean, if you can write it that way, I guess you do you. I don't even think I could write it like that because I think I would probably mix up the characters as well. I don't know, but I don't think Brandon Sanderson is known for his characters. He's known for his world building and his magic systems, which were brilliant, by the way. But the characters were just kind of like blah. They're there to like move the plot along, which was unfortunate because sometimes I tend to be like a character reader. I read for the characters more than I do the plot. You also. And then we have our last comment. She also writes, oh, yes. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I knew her from somewhere. My niece has read that book. I have not read it, but I watched all of the movies and they were awesome. So Descendants, I love that a story retelling. I was in another live stream where we were talking about this and it was like funny because I am totally like at a loss for fan fiction because my degree is in English. I get very nervous about plagiarism. And so I never understood fan fiction and how you could post it and not get in trouble. And so they were talking about how there's this like fan website and all of this stuff and it's like this big thing and I'm just like, all like ridiculous about it and didn't know anything. And so when we were talking about it, I was like, okay, so basically fairy tales, like they call them fairy tale retellings, are all just fan fiction, right? And they were just like, pretty much. What do you guys feel about that? Because I was a little bit confused. I was just like, oh, I don't know how I would write one and like publish it and not get in trouble. I guess you don't publish it, but there's websites that are dedicated to doing that. There have been some websites that have gotten in trouble for that as they were talking more about it. And I came at the tail end of that conversation, so I don't really know. Yeah, let me set up a timer for what time is it? Oh, we're getting close. Let's do a 20-minute sprint. And then we'll come back and I'll see what we ended up with overall. Okay, good luck. Okay, how did everyone do? I ended up with a total overall of 1,468 words. Towards the end, I had to go to the restroom in that last sprint. And I was looking at all of my outlining I did and making sure, gosh, I'm all over the place, that it lined up with all of the outlines that I had in Scrivener now. I was missing a couple, and so I was putting those in, and then I was rereading what I just wrote. So that took up some time. How did everyone else do? Also, I'm very excited that I got 1468 because I only need 1,667 words 3 times a week in order to reach my goal of 5,000 at the end of the week and 25,000 for the month. So I almost got a whole day out of my way. So since NaNoWriMo started on a Wednesday, I actually a part of my normal writing routine I have scheduled out. So this is just extra words. That is so cool that I got started early. I've been thinking about what I'm going to be doing with the extra days. Just because I'm only going to be writing 3 days a week doesn't mean that I'm not going to be fiddling around with stuff, changing things, or writing in general. It just means that if I wanted to, I'm thinking I'm possibly going to be revising at the end of each week what I've written. I've done that in the past. It's worked out so well for me because I've been doing this for 3 years now. I've kind of gotten a routine and I'm able to go ahead and do that and not get overwhelmed. And I feel like it helps me not get overwhelmed to sit down and revise and take some notes. I did a video where I did an outline in Scrivener. So that's on my channel. I just uploaded it last night. But I also talked about how I set up my Scrivener for writing a novel. And part of what I do is I do a chapter summary. I think I called it something else in the video, chapter events, where at the end of each chapter I write, I go into that note-taking portion and I write, chapter 1, and I write what time of day it is. I write what the date is. So if it's a Friday, I write that down. Especially when you're dealing with like a murder mystery and it's like speedy quick and maybe everything happens within a couple of weeks, or maybe you take a break and you do a time jump of a month or so, you kind of need to know what day it is. And I used to do that after I fast drafted and it was a hot mess, right? I would I was like, when is my novel? Like, what's the time set for that? Is it 2 weeks? Did I write this novel and there's like a month that passes in the novel? I didn't know. And so this helps me be a little bit more organized. That helps me out mentally. I just feel better about my life. I don't know what you guys do or what your routine is. Let me know down below. So that was our last sprint. So we're just doing closing comments right now. And we talked about The Descendants. Okay, so I'm going to check out those other books. I'm wondering what the age group for that is. Fairy tale retellings are based on oral stories. Yes, meaning that the details were liable to change every time they were told. Yes, so being Native American, I also live on a reservation. It's more of a privileged reservation. I'm aware of that. Yes, oral stories are a very big thing here. And of course, they didn't write them down forever. So the stories are definitely changed. And also, you have to think about the level of education. When I took women's lit, a lot of women were not educated in the ways of writing. And so a lot of times the people who were telling the women's stories were men, and they would omit some things, right? There were definitely changes. And you're wondering, like, if the woman had written this, would she have written it this way? And the answer is probably like, no. So a lot of Native American tales that have been written down, of course, were not written by natives. They might have been, told to, the ghostwriters, but who knows what they've changed. So that's also interesting. I love things like that. Fairy tales were also collected originally in. Okay, so this is all the conversation we were having in case you're just joining us now or you missed it. I was talking about fan fiction and how I didn't really know it was like this big thing. And I was really concerned about plagiarism and I didn't know how you post that and not get in trouble. That was like my concern. And I was doing another live stream with someone else where I was just like in the comments and we were talking about this. And I had mentioned, I was like, so is all fairy tale writing just fan fiction? Because, you know, that's what it seems like. Yes. Okay. So copywriting. We're talking about, gosh, I just lost the words. It's early here. The public domain. So in the public domain, I think it's like 50 years. If somebody has written something after they've been dead for 50 years, it goes into what they call the public domain, which means anyone can use it and you don't have to pay. So that's where a lot of stories like, you know, The Little Mermaid and Cinderella, all of those stories, those people have been dead for a very, very long time. So you can retell those stories as much as you want and not have to pay any kind of royalties, which is kind of awesome. And there's a lot of negatives to that are, you know, coming up. And there's lots of talk about that. So like Disney, like he's been dead for a really long time. And there's like that conversation about how, because it's a corporation, they don't want people to be able to take what he's done and, put it in the public domain because they're making a lot of money off of that as a corporation, and corporations kind of live forever, not like people. And so there's like a whole argument about that. And I think it's great. And it's fascinating to know about. I did put in a link here to Jules' live stream that's going to happen. I think it's at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, my time. So if you want to take a break and do some things throughout your day and you still need more writing to do, you should definitely check out her channel because I probably am going to be heading over there later as well to get a little bit more, probably more productivity sprints than writing sprints, because there's some stuff I need to set up in my novel and a little bit of research to do. So that is the link. I don't know why it sent it separate. I'm sorry, but it's in there. Okay. Yes. And I said hello to Clad the Lad, who's hilarious. We enjoy each other. Oh, okay. Live. Oh, okay, cool. What time is that my time? So it's next. Okay. So there's also another live stream happening there that you can catch throughout the day, which is great. I love to hop, you know, from one to another. Okay. Rose, my planner sister. Kate C is doing 6 hours right now. Wow. And Lisa Daly will be live at the top of the hour. So there's a lot of live streams happening today to celebrate the first day of camp. So that's really great. I know that on Fridays, I'm going to be doing these morning sprints at this time. Also on Sundays with my group. And on Fridays, I think the last 2 Fridays of the month, we're going to attempt a 5K in a day. And I think that's great. I think people will need it towards the end of the month. I think it's harder at the end of the month, especially if you're doing the 50,000 to push for 5K, especially for me, because even though I'm not a linear writer, I try to be more organized. And there's just too much going in my head of, wait, you have to set up this and this and this. And I have to do a lot of rereading and thinking. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to attempt it. I can already tell that today is going to be a very distracted day. Yes, totally. Got 2 more pages. Cool. 6 total for the day so far. That's great. Also done with this chapter. Thank you for hosting. Oh, yes. Thank you for being here. If I'm a little pixelated, I'm sorry. Just follow the sound of my voice. This is the internet I have to deal with. Usually when I'm doing our Sunday sprints or more towards the evening sprints, I'm at the library because it's open and there's great internet there. Yeah, my internet is just awful and there's nothing I can do about it because I live in a rural area where unless 50,000 people are going to move into my area and, they update the system, this is what we have. And the same 5 families have lived on this road forever. It's not going to happen. All right. So that has been our early morning live sprint. Again, there are a lot of people doing live sprints. I'm going to be joining Jules later. I hope you have a productive day. If this was the only time you had to write, then I hope that it worked out for you. We'll definitely see you next time. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you on Friday. Bye.